McCrossan. I call Daniel McCrossan.
Thank you, Madam Principal Deputy Speaker, and I too welcome this all-important debate to this House, and thank my constituency colleague, Mr Tom Buchanan, for bringing it here, and also for the Minister and for his attention on this all-important issue. This is something we've just come out of an election. It's a problem that we've picked up on absolutely every single rural door, and Ross is right. Barry has heard it, I have heard it, and every MLA practically before us in our respective constituency has heard it as well. This is not a new problem. And Tom, just in relation to a point that you made, this is not about being negative. This is real life, and this is real life for the people of West Tyrone, particularly those in the more rural parts of our constituency. And it is great that we have Project Kelvin in Omagh and everything that it could potentially deliver for the area. But that in itself is not enough. That is only one area. West Tyrone is a hugely rural constituency, and the people feel very neglected. Now, I could ramble about figures and the costs and the money that's been spent elsewhere, but I'm going to talk about the real-life aspect of this particular situation. I'm going to talk about the people that are trying to run businesses in our constituency, a constituency that has been rife with unemployment and social deprivation and a lack of investment for a long number of years. This isn't a new problem, but it's something that could help address the very real difficulties that we have in relation to the local economy. Businesses, and Ross is right, businesses that can't get their staff paid, there's a major flaw right there and should not be happening in 2016. Businesses that can't get their orders out on time, which has a knock-on effect for the reputation of that business and also for the person that's purchasing the materials. It's limiting our capacity as a constituency to truly expand economically. People won't invest in a constituency that can't meet the needs, the basic needs, in relation to broadband. And broadband in 2016 is a vital strand of any infrastructure. And that needs to be appreciated by this House. To hear things like a particular area doesn't meet the needs or doesn't meet the costs is utterly ridiculous. There's 18 constituencies in Northern Ireland, and each and every person from one end of those to the other has a right to access that service. That's only one area. School children, as Ross has rightly pointed out, and some in this House may have used a biro and a pen, but we have come much further than that, in relation to homework at least, but certainly not in relation to broadband. We need to get real about these issues. There are students out there, and it's feeding into the migration issues that we face in Northern Ireland, and immigration issues in fact. But in particular the migration. Students don't want to come home from Belfast because they have no access to the internet, because they can't communicate with their friends, the most basic thing. And as Mr Buchanan rightly pointed out, on one side of the road you may have broadband, on the other side of the road the person doesn't. That's hugely frustrating for people. And to a large extent, and I don't like using this language, it's discriminatory. I want to know what the department is going to do on a meaningful basis to actually deal with this issue. And there is no justification, and the Minister is listening, there is no justification for the lack of investment or the lack of funding or the lack of delivery around this particular issue in my constituency. It is an issue not only in relation to broadband, but also telephone coverage. And I'll give an example whilst I was canvassing, a very real insight. I needed to get access to a phone, and I said to someone with me, "Can I borrow your mobile?" And they said, "We've no network, Daniel." So I went to the next house and I had a conversation, and I asked the lady, "Can I use your landline?" And she said, "I'm sorry," she said, "there was a lightning strike, and we haven't had a BT landline for a few weeks. We've made contact with BT, they've ignored us, and ignored us, and ignored us." She said, "We have no internet and we have no mobile signal." Complete and utter isolation, and that is an example of the reality. We have much to talk about of benefit, yes, in central Omagh and the central parts of Strabane, but when you go to the farther roads, people are utterly, completely isolated, neglected and ignored. And those that are benefiting are talking about the slow speeds, and some say that is satisfactory because they're getting some broadband. It is a neglect of a rural community, of all rural constituencies, and it must be addressed, Minister, and it must be addressed in this mandate. This cannot go beyond We are not going to suffer any more excuses. Thank you.
I call